And moving on, according to a lawsuit filed Tuesday, the Massachusetts Department of Public Health secretly installed a COVID spyware app on smartphones without the user's knowledge or consent. The lawsuit alleges that Massachusetts worked with Google to develop a contact tracing app for residents' smartphones during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Absolutely incredible. The class action suit accuses state health officials of violating both the Massachusetts and U.S. constitutions. Joining us now to discuss is the Lawfare Project Senior Counsel, Gerard Filitti. Seems like more of the death of privacy in this country. Gerard, thoughts about this Massachusetts situation? And it seems to me you're probably going to get more revelations from states that coordinated with big tech in this way. Your thoughts?
I think this is, first of all, thank you for having me. I think this is absolutely scary that a private company like Google, which has been using questionable practices for years now with regard to privacy of its users, actually cooperated with a state, a government agency, in violation of state and federal law, in violation of our constitutional rights, to place software that tracks our movements on our phones without our consent. The thing here, this allegation, if true, that the state of Massachusetts worked to install tracking software on over 1 million phones without the consent of the people who own those phones, that's terrifying. That's an overreach that is more reminiscent of China or Soviet Russia than what we should be doing in the United States.
Yeah, Gerard, this sounds very much of Big Brother or a 1984 scenario. My question is, how did they even do that? I mean, it's clearly goes against our laws with doing that with consent. So how do you think they actually pulled it off?
From a technical perspective, I don't think it's that difficult. We all know that our phones update in background when we're not using them. So pushing an app or installing software on a device is not a technical challenge. But what's disappointing to me is that Google should know better.
Well, that's what I mean. Who said it was okay? Who said, yeah, this is a great idea, let's go for it?
That's the million-dollar question, and I think that's an important one to answer in this litigation. The state has some authority when it comes to pandemics and national emergencies, so does the U.S. government. But the fact is, this occurred last year when the pandemic was on its way out, when life was getting back to normal. So you're not arguing that there was some emergency power that the government needed to use. There's simply no basis for the government to do this, and that's what's troubling.
Well, we know that they're monitoring other information. I mean, how many times have you said something and then all of a sudden an ad pops up on your cell phone because you were having a conversation? I think we're going to be hearing a lot more about the symbiotic relationship between the governments and big tech in this regard. I want to switch gears with you, Gerard, for a second here. In a few days, Dr. Fauci is going to be retiring. From a civil rights and from a legal perspective, we were talking about government overreach here. How do you think history is going to judge him and those in government who followed his COVID-19 public policy advice?
I want to believe, as someone who's been, a passionate patriot for my entire life, that the government wants to do the right thing. It wants to help Americans. It wants to keep us safe. The problem with Fauci, the problem with the COVID response is that it was too quick to throw out rules and laws out the window in a desire to impose control, which ultimately didn't work. Mm-hmm. That's, I think, how Fauci will be judged. It's quick to try to act for the better of society, but you can't do that by running through the checklist of what needs to happen for these sorts of pandemic measures to be put into effect.
All right, Gerard Filitti, really appreciate your insights. Hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving and have a great weekend. Thank you.
Thank you so much and happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you.